Okay. So meanwhile, we'll discuss MCS related more information on that. So what is the process of MCS is? MCS stands for Mission Creation Services. Like PBS MCS, which one is the new method? So PBS is the old method. MCS have been given the new method. Using the hypervisor or cloud-based capabilities, we can create multiple missions. As the name suggests, Mission Creation Services. It's MCS is going to use like a hypervisor capabilities or cloud, and is using the linked clone kind of technology, and is going to create the missions. Okay, so how many number of missions we want? That many number of missions we are going to create. And in this, what are the important disk we have is, we have the master image disk or base disk. Okay, so we are giving a golden template to the MCS, and from that it's going to create from the master image, one master image disk is getting created. We given the golden template. Okay, so but Azure again is going to create one. Azure is going to create one like a master image disk is getting created. Okay, so if you have 30 GB of the space, again it's going to create the 30 GB of the space from the snapshot it's going to create. And at the time of VM level, if you don't create a snapshot, Azure is going to create one more
Snapshot.
snapshot
Yeah,
also
yeah.
is getting created, but always is recommended uh, to create this, but mostly it's going to be stored in the our shared storage itself. So previously also 24 GB main VM is taking, one more master image also is almost it took 24 GB in our scenario. Then identity disk. So what is the concept of the identity disk is like maybe the MAC ID, host ID, all these to preserve the identity of that VM, even if the VM like maybe update, rollback, or maybe restarts. Still, like we need say our user data anyhow it's maybe deleted in pooled. Okay, either pool random or pool static. That is the reason we are not keeping that kind of data in the differential disk where we are going to keep is in the identity disk. Okay, so what are the details it's going to store is what is the DNS name of that domain membership, host IDs, okay, SIDs, all these details in order to identify even if I lost my user data or if my VM have been updated. Still, I want to preserve these details. That is the reason, like a 16 MB of the file is getting created, it won't get delete even if I like log off or restart my VM also. Okay, so then if I have the 100 VMs in my MCS, how many disks are getting created? How many disks are getting created? 100 differential disks are getting created. Okay, so 100 identity disks are
Mhm.
getting created. Then, like, what is the master image? Whatever we got is it's a read-only kind of thing. And for all the 100 VMs, also we are going to use the same data we are going to use. But what is the concept of the differential disk or delta kind of disk is? User log off to that, then maybe copy some files, or in the session is going to keep some data. Okay, so then like here the master image is read only, all the user data is going to be stored okay in the differential disk. Mostly when the first time when we are creating the differential disk is zero size, but once the user login connects and he use the desktop, the size of that like disk is going to increase. Okay. Then additional to this, in the newer features of the 7.x, we got the write cache. Previously, we have the write cache only for the previous kind of catalogs we have, but now like the disk can be overflow maybe into the like caching also. Okay, to use RAM with overflow to disk, like this better to optimize the resources also. Okay, so directly instead of writing to the different disk, we maybe use the cache also. So previously only for the PBS we used to tell this is one of the advantage of cache, all these we can enable, but in the newer versions of the 7.x, even we got this
Currency.
MCS also. Okay, so then what is this is the first step is master image creation. Then VMs are getting created in that identity disk and differential disk. All the data is going to be written into Active Directory accounts also. Then all that data whenever we are connecting to that VM, all write operations are not written into master image because that is the read only file and all the VMs are using this. That is the reason for the differential disk is getting created, and when we delete that VM is getting deleted, and it identity disk and the differential disk is getting deleted, but that master base image is going to be persistent. When we delete the catalog, then that master image disk is getting deleted for us. Okay, so then so now here we have MCS catalogs. So mostly MCS catalogs itself we are going to use now. So we have both non-persistent kind of users or persistent kind of users. In the non-persistent, we are going to use the pooled kind of catalogs, and in the persistent desktops, we are going to use dedicated kind of catalogs. Both have been supported. But if I go for the PBS, is going to support non-persistent itself. Okay, so because in the VDs that user data is going to be deleted automatically. Okay, so then here frequent updates, all these also single instance kind of updates can be done. The main advantage of MCS is it's very simple to set up. Okay, centralized management, everything will manage from the studio itself, and even linked clone will reduce 80 to 90% of the storage also, and provisioning also can be done fastly. In the large scale environments, that means PBS is having better performance and cheaper things if you have more than 2000 or 3000 kind of desktops. If you have 2000 less than, or maybe in the newer versions of the PBS, even at the storage level, IO level also have been optimized. But what is the problem with the PBS is it's little complex, but will have more return if you have more than 2000 or 3000 kind of VMs we have. Storage wise, there is more load, more IOPS is required, more hypervisor resources are required with the MCS compared to PVS. Okay, so PVS is the older technique, but most of the companies still they may have either PVS or MCS, both the techniques, or limited companies will have the PVS, or the new deployments are directly using MCS itself. So when MCS have more constraints at the storage level, IOPS level is, we have the larger scale of infrastructure that's managed by that's managed by Azure in a sorry, so that's managed by MCS in a better way. Okay, but this is better for non-persistent VDA. Which one? PVS. But
Previous.
MCS supports both. With the dedicated catalogs, even will give the persistent VDA also can be given. Okay. So, but which one is simple?
Yes.
MCS is very simple because here PBS is little complex kind of thing, and over the network it need to boot, and again we need to have good knowledge on the PBS troubleshooting all those. And manual is like we have already the physical missions, those kind of applications I want to give. Then, but we don't get power management. We don't create the manually. We need to create all those. Okay, so no automation, but in which use case we'll go for manual is already have my VMs have been created on my hypervisor. People are using, but I want to connect to them over the VDI. Okay, those again I'm not creating the new VMs. If I want to create the new VMs, then I can choose either MCS or PVS. But in this use case, what's happening is in this use case, what's going to happen?
Like the VMs are already available.
Already created, and I don't want to say suppose already we are using that and we kept lot of data. I'm not happy to remove that VM with the MCS kind of a new VM. I don't want. So that user is insisting, no, I want that previous VM itself. Then on that VM, we are installing VDA and we are manually creating those catalogs. Okay. Then remote PC access also, like here already we have the existing servers, all those. Instead of using RDP, we are delivering through ICA itself. Okay. And we can use even Azure or like AWS based VMs also we can deliver. So that's also comes under MCS itself. What is the main advantage here is like here low capex. So what is the meaning of capital expenses are less? In the MCS or PVS, we need to set up lot of hypervisors, lot of storage, networking, all these we need to set up. But if I use Azure, like mostly controllers I need to maintain. That hosting infrastructure, we may get it from the cloud itself. Okay, so that's will reduce our capex.
Okay.
But operational expenses would be more because we need to pay more money for them. Say in the on-premises infrastructure, your capital expenses are more, operational expenses are less. Okay, but if I go for the cloud, your capital infrastructure or capital expenses are zero also sometimes. But your operational expenses maybe every month they may be giving the billing for us, and we need to pay more money for that. Okay. Say every method we have advantages and disadvantages. Okay, mostly you can tell MCS we are using. Okay, so then we'll discuss update also. So in the previous updating is little challenging. We need to update the VDs and all this. So now here updating and rolling back. So what is the use case is we have around 1000 VMs in my catalog, and those 1000 VMs I want to perform a update. Means we got a new patch levels, application level or virus, antivirus kind of things. These are the patching activities. Maybe for every 2 weeks or monthly wise, we are going to update our catalogs. In the MCS, updating rollback is very simple and it's a single instance kind of thing. Then, what we need to do, the first step is like we can prepare a new master image. You have already your golden image, right? Power on that VM, install all the patches, again take a new snapshot. Okay, so that means either you can create a new VM or I suggest already that golden image is there, right? That VM you can
Use it to
yeah, we
do
can power on that and install all the patches. Again, take the
snapshot.
snapshot. Okay, so with that new date and all that versions, we are going to create a snapshot. Then go to mission catalogs, and in the mission catalogs, right click or you can choose on the right side. We have update missions. Okay, or update missions or update catalog. Okay, then in that it's going to display you the all the snapshots from the gen server or ESXi server. From that you need to choose a new snapshot. Okay, so then like we can choose all updates immediately on next reboot or schedule the update also. Okay, then a golden template again is master image is getting created again for that. Master image is getting created and all the VMs like say in the um, dedicated kind of say pooled mission, what is going to happen is the user data is going to be lost. The user data is going to be lost when anyhow with the user reboot that's going to be lost. Okay, that user data. But for the dedicated catalogs, what is going to happen is so better to go for the manual kind of updates, maybe using SCCM kind of solutions for that. But the pooled catalogs are the one of the best practices. Updates or rollbacks also is simple. Okay, so then when we need to update the rollout is if the patching is very important, then you can choose immediately. If I choose immediately, what is the problem is I'll have some downtime, but 99% this would be done in the maintenance kind of period itself. Means maybe when we don't have the business or non-business hours, we are going to perform. Okay, Then if you select next reboot, business continuity is more important, then I'm going to choose the next reboot. Then what is going to happen? That doesn't update. User is connected to one older VDA itself. Like maybe at the end of the day, he may reboot his desktop, then that VDA is getting updated. But if I use immediately, what is going to happen? If I use immediately, what is going to happen?
The updates will get
Yeah, so that means
played.
his desktop is going to lose the connection or not?
He will lose it.
Yeah. So in which scenario you'll use this immediately is we got the patches which are very, very secure, say very, very important for our desktops. Means some major virus is floating. I don't want to take the risk. Some ransomware, something is affecting. Then I got an immediate patch from Microsoft. Then I'll take care that patch is important than my business continuity. Okay. No, my business is more important to me than my patching. Then I'll choose next reboot. Means user can happily work on those desktops at the time of like maybe end of his work. He may just restart the desktop. Automatically the patching is going to happen, or even we can schedule also at that selected time also. So suppose I'm triggering this at Friday itself, but I may give my schedule time on Saturday, like that schedule time. Then all that again need to create. Then I have like updated my catalogs, but after connecting to the new desktops, all the people are complaining we have some issues with the desktops. Then something went wrong. Then immediately what we can do is we can do the rollback to the previous process. So once you update your catalogs, what you can do is if any of the updates, say maybe this doesn't happen every time, maybe one time in maybe 1 year or 2 years, maybe one time it may happen. Lot of people are complaining, or we have missed some compliancy checks or security checks. We decided not to go with that updated desktops. We want to roll back. Then again, you can go to that catalog itself. Then we can revert back to the previous snapshot. Okay, so then you can choose the previous snapshot. Then automatically it's going to be rolled back to the catalog. Again, doing the rollback also, whether that need to be immediately rolled back or on the user next log off it need to done. Those also we need to choose. Okay. So then here we have a staggered kind of approach also. I'll explain this also. So with the staggered approach, what is going to happen is if I have the 1,000 desktops, I don't choose all the desktops. It's a canary kind of deployment. First I'll upgrade 5%, 10% like this. First I'm going to test those desktops. But in our environment, before that itself, we'll have a staging environment also we are going to do. But this production rollout also, we can perform a staggered rollout. What is that is all the 1,000 VMs I don't perform the upgrade. 5 to 10 VMs first I'll choose. I'll perform the upgrade. I'll test that connectivity. After that, all the 1,000 desktops in my catalog I'm going to upgrade. So this is another way of canary kind of deployment also. Okay, so definitely as per the ITIL process, we will define this. Say suppose assume we have a Saturday or Sunday, we have this kind of rollout kind of operation. Definitely we'll inform to that like end users for all of them. We may send an email maybe by Thursday itself. This scheduled. Sometimes unplanned kind of things may come. What is that meaning?
Any emergency.
Emergency, some patches, hot fixes, security wise, Microsoft may tell like now it's mandatory we need to do that. That time it's not. It's maybe emergency kind of cap. Okay, so then we may need to consider that downtime also may be there. But what is the meaning of staggered rollout is like we'll do some phases kind of thing. We need to while choosing the mission catalogs, we need to bring them into maintenance mode. So which of the VMs we want to perform, those all we can choose into maintenance mode, and we are going to perform the updates. Only those missions are getting updated. Like this year, we are going to finish those. So batch size maybe 10% or 20% or 5% like this. We can choose. Gradually, would be increasing more number of VMs. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So staggered is nothing but normally in the DevOps it's called as canary kind of deployment. So we don't update all the 1,000 missions at the same time. We'll use the percentage wise. We are going to upgrade. If any problem comes, we'll stop that upgrade at the 5% of that itself instead of wasting all the 1,000 missions getting updated. Then, say here we have the power management also. So we can schedule the power management like how many missions can be power on when we mission or scheduling of the power of all this power management also we can manage. So now this is at the desktop group level we are going to do in the power management settings when the missions can be power on, power off, demand, user activities, all these we can control. Okay, so previously that's called as idle pool settings. So how many VMs we want to remain power on or available depends upon the time also. Say suppose maybe 8 o'clock morning, 8 o'clock, I may keep 40 missions are power on because 8 to 10 lot of people may come into the office or maybe 9 o'clock. Then till like 11, 12, I would be coming more new users. For them, I want to give the desktop experience is good. Before itself, I'm keeping some of the missions, maybe at least 5 to 10 missions are power on. After 12, most of the people may not come like maybe, but still I may keep 3 or 4 missions are idle. If the 3 people comes and connects, what that in the desktop group, if I have more VMs, those 3 VMs would be power on also. Like this, the missions are getting power on. Okay, so these the missions are getting power on depends upon the idle pool settings, and this will reduce your hypervisor resources and user experience also is good because user no need to wait that mission get power on. So I'll tell one use case try to understand. So here we created 1,000 VMs in catalog. Okay, then most of the missions doesn't get power on. Now I created 100 missions. I have assigned out of the 1,000 missions in my catalog to my delivery group. I have attached. Then in this idle pool setting, if my 5 is the idle pool setting, then 5 VMs are getting power on out of that 100 also. Then 5 users connected to that. Okay, the VMs 5 users have been connected. Then s- another 5 VMs are getting power on because
Power
here I am telling my idle pool setting is
5.
5. That is the reason if the 5 users have been connected to those desktops, another 5 missions will automatically will power on. So who is telling this? MCS. That means our controller is telling to the Gen server or VMware to power on those missions. Then total how many missions are power on as of now? 10.
10.
Those also connected. Like this here 50 users have been connected and 5 VMs are power on. But all of sudden what happen is 30 users log off their VMs. Okay, so 30 users have been log off those. Then what is going to happen is, say total here 55 desktops are power on, but 30 users, but those 30 VMs it will power off those. MCS automatically is going to power off those VMs also, but as per the idle pool setting, 5 I am going to power on. Okay, so that means you don't power on all those missions also. Then like after 6 o'clock, I don't want to keep even 5 VMs also. I want to keep only 1 or 2 maybe. I want to power on because after 6 p.m. In my office, no one comes to connect to the desktops. But even if someone comes also, I'm maintaining 1 or 2. Like maybe at morning 8 a.m. next day morning 8 a.m. I'm keeping only 1 or 2 idle pool settings and 8 to maybe 11 a.m. more users comes to my office. I want to keep 10 maybe my idle pool setting I want to configure. Previously uniform all are 5 itself. But my requirement is morning 8 to 11 I want 10 VMs. 11 to 6 I want to keep 5 VMs. After 6 to 8 I want to keep Only one or two VMs I want to keep as the idle pool settings. Then according to that, like power management is going to happen. On the weekends also, I don't get much business. I want to keep only one or two, maybe I want to keep that. Okay, so what is the advantage with the power management settings is the hypervisor resources, you no need to go and power off the hundreds of missions automatically. Maybe that who doesn't know this power management settings on the hypervisor level, that a hypervisor admin may scare because in the Gen server, a lot of VMs are getting power on, power off. He may worry about what's happening. But as a Citrix admin, we should know who is controlling all those. Our MCS itself is controlling all those. But that's we can keep in our control by keeping the power management settings. By keeping the power management settings, we can keep that in our control. We can keep so that's we can keep the minimum number of idle pool settings or maybe the maximum number of idle pool settings. All these we can set up in the delivery group properties. Okay, power management, and in that we need to set the minimum and maximum. Okay. So with this, what is the advantage of that is even if you don't keep the idle pool setting, that VM will power on and user can connect. But when more users are connecting, it takes more time or not.
Yeah.
Before itself, if that is power on, that the connection is very fast. When user click on that storefront, then that VM need to power on means the user need to wait for 2 to 5 minutes to power on that. Okay, so that is the advantage. Maybe the applications are highly available for those. Okay, in the peak hours, like a lot of spike will come on the hypervisors. Also, all need to power on. Before itself, we power on. Like we can avail, and even power management also. Like we can unnecessary time we are not keeping all the VMs. Say suppose I created 100 missions in my delivery group, I no need to maintain all the 100 missions or power on. Okay, that depends upon our requirement, our business like pattern. You can customize that also with the scheduled adjustments. Okay, so maybe they're telling Azure 10 VMs or maybe off peak hours minimum 2 VMs is better to manage. Okay, so these all the things we need to manage in the delivery groups. We are going to create the minimum maximum. Okay, so your office timings and the working days and how many number of VMs. All these, if you schedule, like automatically the missions are getting power on or power off. Then here, like we are creating the MCS catalogs. In our scenario, like we have the resource constraint, but sometimes your MCS catalogs are failing to create. Okay, then we need to check the delivery controller logs and event viewer of the Citrix controller. Why we got the problem? Like maybe with the master image doesn't have the version of that VDA. Okay, our connection is going to be lost, or maybe we have like a network kind of that hosting infrastructure. We have the networking kind of things, or that user as of now we are using the root itself, or maybe that admin user. But in the real time, like maybe VMware admin is different. He has not given the enough permissions while delegating the permissions. Whether we have the like permissions to hosting infrastructure level to provision those resources, or that Hyper-V level, or maybe at the vSphere level or Gen server level also we need to check. And storage wise also we may have like which storage we have chosen. In our scenario we have local storage, but in the network storage, whether we have the permissions or storage space is there or not, or we have chosen the wrong data store where we don't have the space on that, or we don't have the permissions. Okay, so these kind of issues also may be cause for MCS catalogs are getting failed. Okay, then network settings also maybe we don't have the IPs have been allocated to those. If you don't get the proper IP address or gateway, then it can't communicate with the domain or MCS. Then even those fails to join to the domain like this. Okay, master image also like VMware tools, VDA have been installed properly, and we don't have any pending reboots kind of things also. And AD wise also like we have chosen the right OU, and we have the enough permissions also for that AD. All these also we need to make sure. And finally, creation wise, I don't think with the licensing, but delivery wise, definitely it's going to validate the licensing also to verify. Okay, sometimes on the hypervisor or Gen Center also we need to check uh, what exactly the problem we have in order to communicate. Okay, so these all like we need to check the status also, and we can collect the logs also from the Scout to share to Citrix help support team also if we have any problems. So these all we need to check. Maybe if you have any, and we have main mission creation services, mission identity services. We need to make sure, like if any problem comes, and Citrix host service to communicate with the hypervisor kind of things. Okay, so host service, MCS, and previously we have mission identity service also, but now they bring that to MCS itself to communicate with the hypervisor storage kind of services. We have mission identity service. Now we need to communicate with the mission like MCS service itself we have. Then finally, that all the logs we have collected through the Scout, we can contact with the Citrix support team. Okay. Then like networking, DNS IPs, resolutions, all those DHCP have the enough scope of IPs. We are creating some thousands of missions, but in the DHCP we didn't define that much scope. Only for 200 missions we define the scope of the VMs. So the DHCP scope, DNS, all these also we need to consider. Okay. So these like a communication we need to do, logging and Scout. Okay, services are running or not, DNS, hypervisor resources, hypervisor storage, any snapshot related issues also. Okay, so these we need to make sure, and permission related issues also, resources also, constraints. These all we need to check that. According to that, we can contact the Citrix support also if we want to fix this issue. Okay, so initially always better to create 2 or 3 missions itself. After that, scaling up doesn't take much time. You want to create 100 or 1000 also, don't directly create 1000 in the real time also. First create 2 or 3. After that, we can scale up. And the AD level also, that OU permissions, OU policies, OU group policies, and accounts have been, we can create IP address, DNS resolutions. All these also we need to take care. And storage wise, CPU wise, for all these also we need to check before. Okay. So I'll share this document also. So just go through this, would be helpful for the MCS wise. After this, anyhow, the desktops goes to unregistered. That is a different issue. So this MCS catalogs itself is not getting created. So for this, we are going to maintain this. Okay. So go through this one for the MCS. Okay. Say what is the status?
Sir, it is still like installation completed, I think, but it is still the booting process is going on. Let me show you.